Welcome to Revolutionary Gazette. I'm Will. Today, let's begin our discussion in the series on military drill. We are being hosted inside a wooden stockaded fort at historic Fort Loudon, Pennsylvania, and we say thank you to that volunteer organization for making this available to us. When we talk about beginning the journey through military drill of the American Revolution, if your impression is somebody who speaks English, start here. This is the manual exercises ordered by His Majesty in 1764, or the beginning of it. Today, we'll start with the foundation and learn the position of a soldier under arms. We will move on to fire and load, and finally combine many of those steps into prime and load. This is a base building block. We'll go forward. As I said, English speaking. Whether your impression is dressed like me as somebody fighting for the American cause, or like my friends behind me from the 17th Infantry, this is a great place to start unless you have specific documentation to the contrary. For now, let's turn it over to the gentleman from the 17th of Foot, and we'll learn the position of a soldier under arms. When we start to learn any drill manual, it is good to begin by learning how to stand. In Manual 1764, the description is given with the soldier holding his firelock at the shoulder. This position is called the position of the soldier under arms. Listen to the description from the manual.
To stand straight and firm upon his legs, head turned to the right, heels close, toes a little turned out, the belly drawn in a little, but without constraint, the breast a little projected, shoulders square to the front and kept back, the right hand hanging straight down the side, with the palm close to the thigh, the left elbow not to be turned out from the body, the firelock to be carried on the left shoulder, as low down as can be admitted without constraint, the last 3 fingers under the butt, the forefinger and thumb before the swell, the flat of the butt to be supported against the hip bone, and to be pressed so that the firelock may be felt against the left side, and that it stand before the hollow of the shoulder, not leaning towards the head nor from it, the barrel almost perpendicular.
Given the 18th century verbiage, this is still quite a clear description. Before we move on, however, let's examine a few portions of this position. Your head is turned to the right. We don't want to throw your shoulders out of alignment, so we suggest turning until your left eye is in line with the buttons of your waistcoat. The description says to have the heels close together. It does not specify that they must touch. Coming from more modern manuals, this is a difference. The information about the belly, breast, and shoulders is very similar to other manuals that are humorously paraphrased as suck in your gut and puff out your chest. Comedy aside, the goal is to get you into a good soldierly body position, but reminding you to do so without constraint gets you ready to hold this position for considerable lengths of time and do so as comfortably as possible. One goal I have when teaching infantry drill is to reinforce the concept that the weapon moves around your good position of a soldier, not the opposite. In Manual 1764, that concept shows up immediately as the firelock is to be carried on the left shoulder as low as you can without constraint. Note the hand position. It will be very visual. You can see the thumb and index finger in front of the swell and the remaining 3 fingers under the butt. The weapon rests with the barrel in the hollow of the shoulder and close to perpendicular. At the end of the description, there is one sentence that isn't part of the position of the soldier. Rather, it's instruction for performing the manual and doing so uniformly. It simply says,
to be exact in counting a second of time, or 1, 2, between each motion.
Now that we can stand in the position of a soldier under arms, let's learn to fire and load the piece. This is the order the manual is taught in, so we will do the same thing here. If you do not wish to damage your flints, you may replace them with a driver or wooden flint. Let's begin by watching the entire process.
Poise your firelock.
1, 2.
Cock your firelock.
1, 2.
Present. Fire. Half cock your firelock. Handle your cartridge. Prime. Shut your pan.
1, 2.
Charge with cartridge. Draw your rammer.
1, 2.
Ram down your cartridge. Return your rammer. Shoulder your firelock.
1, 2.
Now that we have watched it once, let's begin to break it down. This will help you learn more efficiently.
Poise your firelock.
Poise has two motions. First, seize the firelock with your right hand and turn the lock outwards, keeping the firelock perpendicular.
1, 2.
Finish this up by next bringing the firelock from the shoulder quickly. Seize it with the left hand just above the lock, making sure the little finger rests on the spring and the thumb on the stock. It must not be held too far from the body. Make sure that your left hand is at an equal height with your eyes.
Cock your firelock.
There are two motions here. Begin by turning the barrel towards you. As you do this, place your thumb on the cock and raise your elbow so the forearm is at a right angle to the weapon.
1, 2.
Next, use the strength of your arm to cock the firelock by drawing your elbow down. End by placing your thumb on the breech pin and make sure your fingers are under the guard.
Present.
There is only one motion here, so everything happens at once. Step your right foot back about 6 inches. As this happens, turn the left toe so it points forward. Drop the muzzle and bring the butt up to your shoulder. Place your right forefinger in the guard before the trigger. Sink the muzzle a little. Let's note here that the change in footing will make it easier for you to aim straight forward. Also, the manual does not say to put your finger on the trigger, but rather in front of it, but in the guard. This will help with potential accidental discharges, but at the cost of accuracy.
Fire.
Pull the trigger briskly. As soon as your weapon discharges, bring the right foot up to what in the manual is called the priming position. The priming position for your feet is where your left foot remains pointed straight to the front, your right heel touches the left heel and stays pointed to the right. This is done to turn your body so the weapon stays generally pointed forward as you prime. As your feet take this position, lower the firelock from your shoulder so that your lock is opposite to your right breast and the piece is inclined up. The muzzle should be at the height of your hat. Keep this position with your left hand and seize the cock with the thumb and first finger of your right hand, the back of the hand turned up.
Half cock your firelock.
In a single motion, pull the cock back to half cock using your full arm to do it, and with your elbow close to the butt of the weapon.
Handle your cartridge.
Move your right hand to your pouch and slap it hard. Next, remove a cartridge from it and bring that to your mouth. Bite the top of the cartridge off and lower the right hand to your chin. Keep your elbow down here.
Prime.
Lower the cartridge to the pan and shake enough into it to prime the piece. Continue to hold the cartridge with your thumb and forefinger. Place the other 3 fingers behind the hammer.
Shut your pan.
This move has two motions. Shut the pan by using your entire arm to draw it closed. As you do this, the elbow will pull back by the body. Keep holding the cartridge pinched closed with the thumb and index finger.
1, 2.
Next, turn the piece in front of you and lower it to what the manual calls the loading position. In this, you hold the weapon in front of you with your left hand at the swell. We have images from the era that show men resting the weapon on the ground, and we find this provides more stability, so we show it here. The lock will face forward, and the muzzle is at the height of the chin if you are short enough. Resist the urge to move your feet. They stay still. In this position, bring your right hand to the muzzle. Though the manual is silent on this, we find it works best to place your hand opposite the muzzle to you.
Charge with cartridge.
Begin the 2-motion process by turning your hand over to put the cartridge in the muzzle. You see here that turning it toward you by rolling your wrist is an efficient motion.
1, 2.
Next, move your right hand to the rammer, and with your hand closed around the butt of the rammer.
Draw your rammer.
There are 2 motions here. First, quickly draw the rammer halfway out and seize it at the muzzle with the back of your hand facing you.
1, 2.
Next, draw it the rest of the way out. Roll your wrist and turn the rammer around and insert it in the muzzle.
Ram down your cartridge.
Ram the cartridge down to the bottom of the barrel. As soon as you do, pull the rammer half out and grab it backhanded at the middle. Pull it the rest of the way out and reverse it by turning your wrist over. Put it in the pipe and insert it as far as the lower pipe. Finish the motion by placing the edge of your hand on the butt of the rammer with your fingers extended. Again, this will keep your hand out of the way in case of an accidental discharge.
Return your rammer.
Push the rammer in until it is fully seated in the pipe. Now, raise the weapon with your left hand to your left shoulder. Seize it with your right hand under the cock. Keep your left hand at the swell. As you raise the weapon into place, turn your feet back to the position of a soldier under arms.
Shoulder your firelock.
There are 2 motions here. First, bring your left hand down to the swell and place it in the position of a soldier under arms.
1, 2.
Drop your right hand by your side. You are back where you began and the firelock is reloaded. Let's watch the process one more time to review.
Poise your firelock.
1, 2.
Cock your firelock.
1, 2.
Present. Fire. Half cock your firelock. Handle your cartridge. Prime. Shut your pan.
1, 2.
Charge with cartridge. Draw your rammer.
1, 2.
Ram down your cartridge. Return your rammer. Shoulder your firelock.
1, 2.
Once the men can successfully load their firelocks with instructions given to each step, it is time to get them used to doing the loading process in one order. This is called prime and load. Unlike the previous work we learned, the manual here assumes that your firelock is empty. Let's watch it first.
Prime and load.
1, 2. 1, 2. One, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2.
Now, let's break it down. Let's look at the first step, as it is slightly complicated but sets up the entire maneuver. This is called the recover. It is the first motion you execute when the order prime and load is given.
Prime and load.
1.
In a quick motion, slightly raise and turn the musket inward or counterclockwise with your left hand. This is a tossing motion as you also let go of the weapon as it's moving to regrip it above the lock. Make sure your left little finger ends up touching the spring of the lock. As you do this, reach up with your right hand and grab the weapon at the small of the stock. The manual is silent here actually on where to grab it, but this sets up the next step and gives you good control of the piece. Your right arm is placed across your right breast.
1, 2.
The next motion in prime and load is to come to the priming position. Using both hands, bring your firelock quickly across your body. Also, at the same time, lower it and end so your right hand is near to and just lower than your right breast. The muzzle should be at the height of your hat. As you move the weapon, turn your feet and body so your left toe is pointed forward. As a reminder, this puts your body in a half right face position so it's easy and comfortable to safely load the weapons pointed forward. End with the thumb of the right hand placed against the face of the steel or hammer. Open the pan using your entire right arm to throw the hammer forward.
1, 2.
Here is where prime and load really speeds the process up. Move through handle your cartridge, prime, and the first motion of shut your pans as efficiently as you can. Make a small pause here. When in ranks, you are waiting for the men around you to be ready. Then you all move to the loading position together. This is called cast about in the prime and load portion of the manual. While it makes a uniform look, there is also a practical purpose. This will keep men from hitting the weapons of those around them by being at different steps in the manual. Once you are in the loading position, perform charge with cartridge, draw your rammers, and ram down your cartridges as efficiently as you can.
1, 2.
Return your rammer.
2. 1, 2. 1, 2.
So there we go, the manual exercise or the first blocks of us. Join us again in the next episode. We'll go ahead and talk about the rest of the manual of arms as we continue to build the blocks here that'll help you do a better interpretation, whether American or British. Thanks for joining the Revolutionary Gazette. We'll see you next time.